Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So, once again, we are talking about a topic that no one wants to hear about. It is the fact that VTubers are not only encouraging but requiring their peers to speak about certain political issues. Now, when I see a complex international conflict taking place, my first thought is, what does my favorite VTuber have to say about this situation? Like, yeah, it's ridiculous because the vast majority of VTubers are woefully unqualified to speak about certain international issues and conflicts because they just aren't knowledgeable. And when they do speak on these things, the only real potential that comes out of it is alienating part of your audience that doesn't want to hear about these things, or the risk of spreading misinformation because you are not knowledgeable of these subjects. So putting pressure onto VTubers in particular and content creators in general to speak about these issues is really something that's not only bad for them, but also puts their audience at risk as well. And this whole thing has been rehashed thanks to this tweet by a VTuber named Aurora. Now, for context, what she's talking about here is referring to a VTuber award show that is being hosted by the VTuber Fillion. And this tweet right here got a lot of people talking, and not for the reasons that this VTuber had hoped, because this tweet is an absolute banger. So let's read it. It says, "Y'all don't think if I win any of those VTuber awards that I'm not taking that acceptance speech as an opportunity to talk about real issues? I'm thanking y'all, then going straight into Black Lives Matter, Free Palestine, Congo, and Sudan." Like, so many people are complaining about the person running it, but aren't thinking about what it means to win it. It's a chance to make an audience accountable on a huge platform. Imagine reaching that big of an audience to talk about things that matter. F the clout for personal gain. I want that clout to spread more awareness. You all know I've always used my platform to speak up on issues. That's never going to change, so vote for people that will make a difference. This is your voice and opportunity too. So before we get into the many different parts of this tweet that have people talking, the number one thing down at the bottom here, basically saying vote for me because I will talk about politics in my acceptance speech, is so ridiculous when the categories that you're listed for are things like rising star or hidden gem in the VTubing scene. Your political opinion and how much you talk about politics has nothing to do with that. It's about entertainment. How much do you entertain your community and viewers? Like, politics has nothing to do with that. But let's start with some of the quote retweets because they absolutely shredded this original post. This user ratioing them with a picture and a simple caption saying, "You will pick a side in the conflict thousands of miles away that has nothing to do with you." Yeah, as a VTuber, you're taking a monstrous risk talking about these things in the first place because at the end of the day, to the dismay of all these VTubers making posts like this, the vast majority of VTuber fans don't want to hear about politics during streams. They want to see a cute anime character being silly, playing games, and having fun. They don't want to hear about real life issues. They want escapism. They want to break from it because they hear about it everywhere else in their life. And it's okay to just enjoy things for entertainment value. And of course, a VTuber who is thousands of miles away from a complex and historical based conflict is not going to be very knowledgeable or invested. And I don't think it's very safe to make these VTubers feel like they have an obligation to speak on these things when there's the risk of spreading things like misinformation to their audiences. Here's another tweet saying, "When I'm looking at a cartoon woman playing video games, I'm not interested in their shitty political opinions. Just like when I watch political streamers, I'm not listening for their anime opinions." Like, I have so many examples of people like tagging me in tweets and things like that and be like, "Oh my God, Rev, did you hear Hassan Piker's terrible take on whatever anime?" And I'm like, well, yeah, of course he has bad taste about anime because that's not his forte. He talks about politics, which he already does that badly. So like, why would I expect him to talk about something like anime that's not his strong suit and have a good opinion about that? But again, just to reiterate, the vast majority of people watching these VTubers are doing so to have fun and avoid things like politics. And if they wanted to seek out political commentary and things like that, there are channels for that. They already exist and people are putting more effort into it. So it would just make more sense to go to them instead of feeling like VTubers have an obligation to speak on these things that they're just not knowledgeable of. And here's another person pointing out this whole make your audience accountable bit. and they say, the F are they supposed to do about an active war zone? Of course, retweeting things and trying to spread awareness, like I'm not going to stop anyone from doing that because yeah, at a very small level, it does make a difference spreading the word about things. But at the same time, do you think like retweeting things or a VTuber being forced to talk about politics or a global conflict will actually make a difference in an active war zone? Like a significant difference? Like, do you think VTubers talking about political topics is going to be the thing that changes this all around? Do you think it'll have an actual significant impact? If you do, that's absolutely ridiculous, especially when it comes to VTubers who are not knowledgeable and have no interest, and their audience has no interest in these sorts of conflicts. And really, you just sit here and you ask yourself, well, what is this all about? Well, we know that posts like this from the original poster, they're for attention and pats on the back. That's the main thing. It's clout. And we've seen this VTuber, Aurora, get dunked on for other tweets that are clearly for engagement bait and pats on the back on Twitter. Now, here's the thing. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh, this is so cringe, respecting people's pronouns, boo. No, I'm saying this is ridiculous tweets like this because it's very obvious it's done just for clout. Just for clout and pats on the back and likes and engagement bait on Twitter. Okay, there's not a single person out there who doesn't respect pronouns who's going to see this and go, well, this VTuber said I should respect pronouns, so yeah, I'm gonna change everything now. I'm gonna start doing what this VTuber says. It's ridiculous. Now, a person like me, I respect pronouns. If you have a certain select pronoun you want me to use, I will respect that, even if I don't like you or disagree with things you're saying. As long as you're not trying to get like neo pronouns or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna call you like a dragonkin or something. Like, I'm gonna use traditional pronouns and I'll try to accommodate, but like when we're in neo pronouns, yeah, I'm not taking those seriously. But yes, if you have a preferred pronoun, I will respect that. But that's not something I need to announce to the world on Twitter. It's just something I do. That's all you have to do is just go out there and actually do these things. You don't need pats on the back. And a lot of people call that into question because Aurora is one of the many people involved in the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign that took place earlier this year. Now, there's a whole part here talking about trans kids being mistreated, but this section highlighted right here, a lot of people talked about when it comes to respecting other people. They say being doxxed, being ostracized, or being ousted for playing a game does not compare to the lives that are being stolen daily. So this is in reference to people like Silvervale, Pikami, and other VTubers and content creators who are harassed, doxxed, and so on for either streaming Hogwarts Legacy or even contemplating streaming that game. And they're basically saying that all these things happening to them, all this mistreatment, basically doesn't really matter and it doesn't compare and it's not significant because trans people are suffering. Which is ridiculous because I think nobody should suffer, and trying to compartmentalize the suffering of people like Silvervale and Pikami during February and March is just really weird and disrespectful. And a lot of people have pointed out in these recent threads of how much they took advantage of the Hogwarts Legacy situation, where they said, I'll be your new comfy streamer back in February. Of course, that was a reference to Silvervale, who many people called their comfy streamer, and basically saying she would replace them because people were mad at Silvervale because of the fact she played Hogwarts Legacy. And then they say, jokes aside, my community is a safe space and blah, 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 blah. They did everything they could to take advantage of that situation to maximize their clout and get something out of Silvervale and other people being harassed for playing a video game. Now, this all relates, this disingenuous nature of some of their tweets relates to the main thread we've been looking at today. So they make their thread talking about what they're going to do if they have an acceptance speech, which, by the way, this isn't the Oscars. I'm pretty sure you're not going to get an acceptance speech even if you win. But nonetheless, after that, their first reply, the first reply was promoting themselves in this VTuber award ceremony and saying, please vote for me for the Hidden Gem and Rising Star categories. Because, yeah, nothing shows that you're serious about these topics like immediately promoting yourself for a silly VTuber award right under the main tweet. Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous to me. And a lot of people have been pointing out the fact that, well, this ceremony is run by Fillion. And a lot of people in the VTubing scene, especially VTubers like this, or people of this nature, have been trying to cancel Fillion for a long time because of jokes she made. In particular, some edgy jokes like the one she made about George Floyd a couple of years ago. And that's interesting for a lot of reasons. Number one, because Aurora in this situation in the past, only earlier this year, was basically implying that we should try to remove sponsors from people making edgy content. They said back in May, toxic creators won't lose their fan base and they aren't going to change. They aren't ashamed of their actions and they thrive in any publicity. You have to keep them accountable where it matters to them most. Start contacting their sponsors. Yeah, Karen. That's Karen behavior. But in this sense, they're saying, well, if someone's making toxic or edgy content, we should start contacting their sponsors with the intent, of course, of making those sponsors drop those content creators. And yet, you are jumping on board with a VTuber award ceremony run by someone who has made edgy jokes in the past. But that's okay because in this case, you can get something out of it and win an award and get attention. And also, a lot of people are pointing this out. You know, I have absolutely nothing against lewd content and lewd tubers and things like that. But doesn't it feel a bit disingenuous when you're talking about certain issues, especially from certain regions? And the tweet before, the literal tweet before, was retweeting lewd artwork of yourself. And then the next thought in your head is talking about how you're going to use this acceptance speech to talk about Palestine and places like that. I don't know, am I the only one who finds that a bit odd? The timing seems a little goofy to look at in real time. I don't know. Feel free to share your thoughts about that in the comment section. But moving on, people had more to say about this, saying, why would the people watching a VTuber award show listen to political talkings? Does this apply to VTubers or other US streamers who are pro-Israel? This tweet would take a very huge turn if the VTuber acted like those pro-Israel Hollywood actors I saw on the news. Of course, when people like Aurora are saying, hey, talk about a certain political issue, they mean talk about a certain political issue in the way that I agree with. Not in a way that might go against their narrative or challenge their narrative. They are talking about a specific point in a specific narrative about that topic. And that's very obvious. And I'm not picking a side in any of these conflicts that I'm mentioning. I'm just saying the fact that this VTuber would definitely have a problem if you went against their narrative while sharing your opinion about these topics, which is something that they want you to do. And we have other people saying, I notice a severe lack of hashtag stop Asian hate and hashtag Taiwan is a country and standing with Latinos rejecting Latinx as a word. Damn, I can't believe that Aurora hates Asians, supports Chinese imperialism, and ignores Latin American issues. Not trendy enough to be a priority, I guess. Which is obviously poking fun at the situation. This is being satirical, but it's kind of like you reap what you sow. If you're saying that if people and VTubers don't speak up about certain issues, they don't care about it, well, where are you talking about these certain issues? And while we're here, hashtag stop Asian hate, the VTuber scene is pretty quiet about this one. They don't seem to really respect that one at all and promote it, which I can give you a million examples of Asian artists being harassed on the daily just because of the style of their artwork. And it's something that I'll be covering the next couple of days. It's something I covered a few days ago. And they don't really care about that, but it's only certain issues they care about, right? And I think that's obvious. But moving forward, they would make another series of replies, this one under the promotion for the VTuber Awards ceremony. And they're basically saying, like, I'm glad I'm sparking conversations and that you need to go out there and you need to educate yourself. Have you heard that one before? And saying that there's so many creators on Twitter and TikTok, they're talking about these things with tons of resources. And I've posted these on my page about what's happening in Palestine and blah, 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 blah. And I've looked through some of these threads that they're promoting, and a lot of them have fact checks, and a lot of them contain unsubstantiated claims and misinformation. What people are alleging is misinformation. So, I don't know if I even trust what you're sharing. And I definitely don't trust what some random VTuber who has no knowledge of the situation might share on Twitter. This is a very, very delicate issue and one of many delicate issues going on in the world. And I don't want people who are not informed to feel like they have an obligation because they're a VTuber to engage with these things and to share certain pieces of information in threads when there might be some traps in there that will spread misinformation. But again, they kind of have made these tweets in the past. I found this one to be very interesting. So it says, this is from back in July. It says, do you want to be the drama person you follow to laugh at with your friends, or the person you respect for creating great content that you call your idol? If you want to be messy for clout, remember, if it goes viral, that's your legacy. People may forget, but the audience you cultivate is there the same reason you are for drama channels. What kind of creator do you want to be? Yeah, looking through the threads today, I think it's pretty obvious the irony of all these statements, but yeah, I think you guys get the point. I know it's a lot of controversial topics today, but I'm trying to speak in more general sense. I'm not trying to pick sides on any of these things. I'm just pointing out a thread that went viral on Twitter for all the wrong reasons, at least at the expense of the original poster, and I think it raises some things that a lot of VTuber fans are concerned about, and that's things like politics being injected into streams. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please share all of your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.